I mean, at this point, you can fire them all off into the hard rock sun, and I wouldn't care. I mean, I'm sorry. I don't know what needs to happen, but head needs a roll. Changes need to come. We're going to break it down. That was just a disaster. Dolphins lose 33-27. There was a spark of hope, but it was soon dashed by penalties and poor execution. Like I said, you can fire them all into the hard rock sun for all I care at this point.
Loses the football. Touchdown! Got it! You have got to be kidding me. Jalen Waddle has a Dolphin touchdown. And he will score! Field down the near side, that open. Touchdown! The run from Tua Time. Touchdown! He's going deep. He's going over the touchdown again!
Beautiful day to be a Dolphin fan. Let's go!
What is good, Fin Nation? What is good? Well, I already know the answer to that. Not very much. This is what we waited for. You know, I just don't know what to say at this point, you know. Unbelievable. We got a lot to talk about. We got a lot to discuss with this, with the result we just saw in week 2. I mean, I'm going to go in here. I was taking notes as the game was going on. You know, I mean, it is what it is at this point. You know, it is what it is. Heads need to roll. And no ifs, ands, or buts. So we're going to get into this. First thing, before we do get into it, I do want to shout out the sponsor of the channel, and that is Sleeper. Hey, the Dolphins might have let you down today, but why don't you go make some money? You might as well go make some money, right? Let's be real here. You know, think you know football, and turn your football knowledge into real money with the Sleeper app, the ultimate fantasy sports app that can turn game day into payday. Just download the Sleeper app and pick more or less on your favorite players. With more stats than any other daily fantasy app, just choose 2 or more of your favorite players from pregame or live. Pick more or less from the predicted stats, and you could win up to 1,000 times your money if your picks win. Use promo code PHINSIDE, and you'll get up to $100 match on your first deposit. Terms and conditions apply. See Sleeper's terms of use for details. Currently operational in over 25 states. Check out Sleeper today. Okay, so let's talk about the last drive. All right, we got a lot to go. There's so much to unpack here. Let's talk about the last drive. Let's start off from the end, and we'll move upwards. Okay, that last drive. Okay, that last drive was sad. Okay, and not for the reason you might think it is, but sad for the fact of we were so close with Devon Achane. That 18-yard gain down to the New England 26. If he hadn't stepped out, he is in the end zone, and we are probably sitting here singing a different tune. Then again, with that, you know, there's about 1:15 left on the clock. With that defense, who knows, they would have got a field goal against us. But listen, all right? You start moving the ball really well, right? You got the ball at your own 40. You got to the New England 26 in 3 plays. But then it all started. You have a Aaron Brewer false start. Takes you back to 1st and 15 to the New England 21. Then you take a delay of game. Now you're 1st and 20 at the New England 26. And Then, after an incompletion to Waddle, you get Eskridge for 8 yards. You get sacked 2 straight plays. On third down, the coverage is good downfield. Guys are getting rerouted. There's no underneath concepts for him. Tua is forced out to his left side, runs out of bounds. 4th and 12, the right side of the line collapses. Milton Williams gets his 2nd sack of the day, and the Patriots' 5th sack of the game. You know, they started off on that drive with a lot of hope. And I said this when we were live. The wind was just taken out of the sails when that A-chance score didn't count. That's all there is to it. The A-chance score that didn't count, you could tell that was it. That was a shot. I mean, we're sitting there on third down and second down, and I was telling all y'all while we're live, that was our shot. That was our shot to win the game. It's gone. They weren't going to make that second. They got bailed out, and they weren't going to make that mistake again. Hammer says, we appreciate you, Reason, and I appreciate all of you, over 500 of you in the chat, tuning in after what we just saw. But again, let's go to the middle of that. I want you to think about this for a second. You don't take the false start. You don't take the delay of game. Guess what? All of a sudden, that 8-yard pass to Eskridge brings up a 3rd and 2 and a 4th and 2 and opens up the playbook a little bit more. Because there was still 53 seconds left on the clock when Tua got sacked to end the game. Right? And think about this. All of a sudden, you're at the New England, if you add in that 8 yards from Eskridge, all of a sudden you're at the New England 18. You're inside the 20. Go get a first down. You can spike the ball, or you can keep running the hurry up. And guys, the delay of game comes down to the coaching again. We were wasting timeouts throughout the game because McDaniel was getting in the play and Tua was breaking the huddle with under 10. He broke the huddle with under 10 seconds left on the clock with that play. Now, Tua. Tua Tagovailoa finished the day 26-32, 315, 2 touchdowns and a pick with a 115.5 passer rating. You look at the box score and you're going to say, okay, he wasn't the problem. But Tua made key errors today. That one pick he did throw, again, are we not seeing underhanging defenders? It happened to you earlier in the game. They got you like that. The drive before that final drive, all right? You had Tyreek Hill over the middle of the field on 1st and 15. You had Tyreek Hill over the middle of the field for probably a house call. Let's call it what it was. The defender slipped, and Tua again, like in week 1, sails a throw over Tyreek's head. You can't be making these mistakes in this critical stage of a close game. And then you follow up that sailed throw a few plays later with an interception. Right? We had a false start on Ollie Gordon after the incompletion. Then he did hit Tyreek for 13 yards. It brought up a 3rd and 7. Then we got sacked. Harold Landry got the sack. Borum, that sack was on 3rd and 7 was on Borum. Jonah struggled today. But look at this. Again, 3rd and 7, sacked. Right? 4th down, interception. Next drive. Sacked at the 28-yard line because he runs out of bounds, and then sacked again. On 3rd and 4th downs, you were playing some of your worst football and getting some of your worst execution in key critical moments. That offensive line is not good. And Sleepy pretty much just nailed it because you weren't lying, Sleepy. Both games, it feels like our offense is constantly 3rd and long and our defense is 3rd and short. You're 110% right. I mean, it doesn't feel like it. That's what it is. I mean, 1st and 20, we're calling a screen. 1st and 15, we're calling a screen. Shout out to Justin for the donation. D. Huggins says, how much of the defensive struggles are because of our lack of good corners? Man, we're not getting consistent pressure up front. The run defense is not doing good. I mean, you're going to blame the corners for our suspect run defense? And I want you to think about this. Think about this for a second here, ladies and gentlemen. We've given up 66 points in 2 games. We've given up, we've given up 33 points to the Colts, and now we've given up 33 points to New England. Like, what are we saying here? I mean, I take back everything positive I said about Anthony Weaver, and any time I implied or said Anthony Weaver should be given a head coaching shot. Because no. No, the Patreon update's going to come tonight. I had something going on yesterday. And let's talk about this. Let's talk about this. You send electricity through the stadium. You get everyone on their feet. Everyone's feeling good. Malik Washington has a huge 71-yard punt return for a touchdown. The first this team has had since Jakeem Grant in November of 2020 against the Rams. And the very next play, you give up a kickoff return for a touchdown. And that was on Judon, if you go back and watch that play. See, I predicted us to lose this game, but you had this game. This is kind of an even worse way to lose. Where coaching mistakes from your quarterback, mistake from your offensive line, whether it's giving protection issues or pre-snap penalties. A run defense that is Swiss cheese right now. I mean, the play calling wasn't great. Anthony Weaver's getting burned on 3rd down blitzes in passing situations and giving up 14-yard screens for 1st downs. I mean, I'm going to tell you this much. If you were watching me live, you know what I'm talking about. I lost my mind. A 3rd and 12 screen and you give up 14 yards. Because it's a bad defensive play call. Most teams can win with their quarterback going 26 of 32 for 315, 2 touchdowns, and only 1 pick. Most teams can win that. But we are playing defensively and offensively with razor thin margins of error that here we are. And I'll give it to you again. Vrabel out-coached Mike McDaniel. Especially in those final minutes. This is McDaniel's offense. That final drive ends with nothing open downfield because your route concepts aren't great at getting guys open on that 3rd down play. Tua running out of bounds and taking a sack. Then the right side of your line gives up a sack to end the game. You took a delay of game penalty on that drive because the offense didn't break the huddle until there was less than 10 seconds left because you got the play in late. Right, immediately following a false start on the offense. This offensive line goes from no bad pre-snap penalties in week 1 and they still get blown out to taking pre-snap penalties in critical stages of the game today that cost them and they can't dig themselves out of that hole. And this is one of the biggest issues that Justin points to here. And we are not absolving Tua from his mistakes today because he made mistakes. That he missed a touchdown to Tyreek Hill. Okay? If you actually go back to, Tua also missed Tanner Conner. Right? Like, if you go back, he had, on that interception play, Tanner Conner was open underneath. If you look at Tanner Conner on that interception, Tanner Conner was open underneath to the left side and he had space to the sticks. So I ain't giving Tua no passes. But Justin's 110% right. Tua gets to the line, and he's talked about this before. He gets to the line, he's basically got to run what's given. Sorry, it was 4th down. And that's that. Aaron says, at this point, I don't know who qualifies as the interim. Also, when the Dolphins pay their players, they listen to 50 Cent's Get Rich and stop balling. And Justin says, and Weaver needs to stop all-out blitzing on 3rd. I agree. Why? Like, that's a perfect... Like, they talked about this pregame, and then they talked about it during the broadcast. Miami made a big deal about recognizing the Patriots screen game. So why aren't you simulating pressure and dropping guys back to contain that on 3rd and 12? I agree. Can't constantly have less than... I agree. 10 seconds at the line of scrimmage. I agree 110%. But Tua, man, you sail it over Tyreek's head. And that's a touchdown because the defender fell. Right? 4th down interception to Malik Washington. You have Tanner Conner underneath to the sticks. You make the harder throw and it costs you an interception. And then our final drive ends with a whimper on 3rd down. He gets sacked running out of bounds because there's nothing downfield open. And then on 4th down, the line collapses. Not to mention the drive before the interception on a 3rd and 8 ended with a sack, right? Milton Williams, 1-yard loss. Even the interception, right? Like, you know, you got the Ollie Gordon false start. Then you got the completion to Hill for 13 yards. Then you got a sack, right? Because Borum got beat pretty badly by Landry. And then you got an interception on a bad decision by Tua when he had the pass underneath to Tanner Conner. Like... And then you look at the first half. 10 straight scoring drives by opposing offenses against its defense to start the season, and 13 since the end of the last season, which was broken by a kneel down. Right? But then what happens? What happens? Really, the Patriots had 4 drives in the second half. The last one didn't really count because they ran out the clock. So, like, in drives they were trying, they scored 10 points. Right? They had the kickoff return for a touchdown. And then, you know, like, I want you to think about this. If we don't give up that field goal off that interception, we got a chance to tie that game. But that's another thing. If Tua doesn't throw that interception... We're punting, we'd still turn the ball over, right? We would have turned the ball over But man, at least you wouldn't have deflated all the air out of your defense. The defense only had to go what? 3 yards to kick the field goal? And of course, their field goal kicker who missing chip shot extra points, no worries, hits a 53-yarder like it's nothing. Now, who are you going to point to and blame this loss on? I'm going to blame a lot of people here. I'm going to blame Mike McDaniel. I'm going to blame Anthony Weaver for getting us in that early hole. I'm going to blame Tua Tagovailoa for the interception, for sailing it over Tyreek's head. There's tons of, once again, there's tons of blame to go around. Poor time management for McDaniel. There's blame to go around everywhere right now. That front seven continuing to get shredded on the ground. Just shredded. 29 carries for 122 yards. Ramondre Stevenson. Think about this one, guys. Ramondre Stevenson. All right. Had 142 all-purpose yards against you. Unbelievable. It's just not good enough right now. And you have to make a change. What do you think the Bills are going to do to this team? Shout out to Josh Miller. What do you think they're going to do to this team? And then even still, if you do fire Mike McDaniel right now, what do you do? What do you do? Who do you make the head coach? At this point, I'd give it to Frank Smith or Bevel. I'm not letting Anthony Weaver anywhere near that head coaching spot. The Bacon Maniac makes a good point. Tyreek Hill looked like he was done after that overthrow. You saw it. He was going like this. He was going like this, walking to the sideline. He seemed pissed off. And this is the second week in a row. We saw Hill last week losing his mind on the sideline. Now we see this. And he ain't wrong. And then that's the thing. Okay, they win next week against the Bills. They pull out a miracle. And so what? So what? Even if they were to win next week on a short week against the Bills, so what? Do you know what this Bills offense is about? And I don't even think that's realistic because we couldn't stop the Colts from scoring. All right? We gave up 33 to the Patriots. Okay? We allowed the Patriots to convert 7 of 12 third downs. We allowed them to rush for over 120 yards. We allowed them to score on what? 6 of 9 drives today? Six of 10 drives. And two of those drives were kneel downs to end the game and kneels down to end the half. So really 6 of 8 drives where they're actually trying. So you allow 7 scoring drives on 7 attempts by the Colts. And then on 8 drives where they're actually trying to move the ball, you allow the Patriots to score 6 times. That's 13 scoring drives allowed on 15 drives of the opposing offense trying to score on you. What do we think the Bills are going to do? The last time we faced the Bills in week 9, we didn't get a stop for the final 45 minutes of the game. Do people not remember this? Do people not remember this? Come on, people. Tua Tagovailoa went out there. He was, he had the 9th highest single game EPA per dropback for any quarterback in 2024 up until that point in that week 9 game. And he was the only one of the top 9 to lose that game. Right? The offense under Tua had the 6th best offensive performance by any team against Sean McDermott during that span. Tua and that passing EPA was the 2nd best single game total posted against the Sean McDermott defense during his entire tenure with the Bills dating back to 2017. But what happened? The defense performance was the 22nd worst EPA per play allowed by any defense against the Sean McDermott coach football team. The special teams was the 7th worst single game performance against Buffalo since 2017 in 123 games. But I'm supposed to sit here and expect, well, special teams will be fine after I just saw what they allowed on kickoff return, right after getting a punt return. Just shooting themselves in the point, nullifying the lead they just got. I'm supposed to believe that this defense that allowed 7 scoring possessions on 7 attempts to the Colts, and then 6 scoring possessions on 10 drives, 8 because, well, it's really 8 because 2 of them, one was a kneel to end the game, one was a kneel to end the first half. So when opposing teams have been trying to score on the Dolphins on 15 possessions, they've allowed 13 scoring drives. But I'm supposed to believe that's going to change against the Bills and we're going to stifle the Bills. Please. I'm not falling for that. And I'm going to tell you this again. I know why. McDaniel is going to keep going to the podium right now because we're on a short week. But it should be over. Chris Grier and Mike McDaniel should be fired tonight. But they won't be. And they'll use it as an excuse while we're on a short week. Brother, rip the Band-Aid off. Rip the Band-Aid off. I mean, you want to fire Anthony Weaver and make Austin Clark the defensive coordinator? I'd even support that at this point. If you said Mike McDaniel, Anthony Weaver, Chris Grier, you're all fired tonight, I would stand up and applaud. Ross would finally show some balls. Now we all know the new GM is probably going to be Marvin Allen, but it's going to be Brandon Shore in the long run, probably. No blocking, tight end, or run game. They refuse to run the ball. They'd rather run these screens. Tyler says, if you fire McDaniel and Grier, you got to bench Tua. I don't agree with that. You let whoever's running that offense make that decision. If they say Tua, roll with it. If they say Quinn Ewers, roll with it. If they say Zach Wilson, roll with it. The one thing they need to do after they fire these people, they need to learn, stop stepping in. Let whoever's in charge do whatever they got to do. You stepped in and you forced McDaniel to keep Boyer and Crossman and Liam Eichenberg and fix Tua and all this stuff. No. Fire everyone and step back. And What may be, may be. That's it. Either we turn this around and somehow make the playoffs, or you don't and you get a high draft pick. Reason, do you think there was more issues in the offseason player-wise, like Tua and Hill, that has carried over into the season? The teams look like it hates each other, and the same with the coaches. I just think there's guys that don't believe. I've said this. I think there's players and coaches in that building that do not believe in this roster and in this coaching staff. Like, I'm ready to start the cellar dwellers for sellers, ride the Nuss bus, or steer towards Mateer. I'm down for that. I'm getting there. But you need changes immediately. I mean, you can't sit around on your hands and wait. You can't. This season's going to get out of hand. I said this after last week. If Ross has made the decision, if Ross was sitting there in his box and said, I got to fire these guys today, you can't wait. The season's going to get away from you. You're not getting any younger, Steven. The season's going to get away from you. You got to make the change. And for some reason, they just refuse to take the reins off Ollie Gordon. Like, think about this. On the final two drives, you needing a touchdown. Miami had 2 delay of game penalties. They had 2 false starts. They gave up 3 sacks, and Tua threw the pick in which he had Tanner Conner open underneath. And before that, he sailed the throw to Tyreek. That would have been a touchdown. Like, even if you win next week, who cares? It's over. Dolphins are now 6-10 in the last 16 games with McDaniel and Tua. You keep making all these mistakes, from time management all the way down to execution. It's over, man. Unbelievable. This defense is just not good enough. And it doesn't seem like there's an answer. I mean, Tyreek Hill was up in front of the podium and he said self-inflicted wounds. 110%. I'm ready. Fire them all, man. Fire them all into the Hard Rock Sun for all I care. There is no way. Like, here's the thing. We are dead men walking into Buffalo, and this is the message you want to send? You want them to be dead men walking? And Tua was kind of throwing McDaniel under the bus. If you go listen to his post-game press conference, he was talking about miscommunication. He's talking about the personnel usage and the play call pertaining to the players. Like, you even got Tua now throwing McDaniel under the bus, basically. I mean, like, he's talking about bad communication, all this stuff on fourth downs. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. And he basically talked about how plays weren't getting in on time before the mic was cutting out. This team plays like it's looking for a reason to give up. I told y'all, I don't think they believe. I don't think they believe in this coach. Unbelievably. I mean, Tua is basically up in front of a podium saying the coaches failed us today. And remember, last week the players were being blamed for failing in execution by the coaching staff. And now Tua is stepping out again. Unbelievable. I mean, and he even said, I think the concern is more, dude, what are we going to do that we haven't done all these years? He's basically telling you all the wells run dry from McDaniel. I just don't see how this gets any better. I really don't. I don't see how this gets any better anytime soon against the Bills. And then if you lose to the Jets, oh my God. But you need change right now. Fire them all. I don't know what to say. What are we waiting for? It's called a players only meeting. And now this happens, and now you're straight up out here blaming the coaches. I don't know what to say anymore. This is brutal. This is not good. I'm ready. I told y'all last week. This looked like a team last week against the Colts that's in week 17, 18, 16 of the season, knows they aren't making the playoffs, and they're out in their coach. And now you got Tua basically leading the charge against the coaches. You need change all around. From top to bottom. From management to the coaching staff to the players on the field. We need change. And that's why we knew that the firing's probably going to have to happen after the Bills game, because you're going to have 10 days to prepare. This is something we've talked about on this channel already. But Dolphin fans deserve better than this. The players on the roster deserve better. Some of the players on the roster deserve better than this. I won't say all the players. Some of them do. Josh Miller says hire Nick Saban. Is that really crazy at this point? You think this would all happen under Saban? Tua is just not getting it done in crunch moments right now. You know? And I'm watching this replay, and like, he had no chance on that 4th and 12. Like, that right side of the line was a complete mess. Just a complete mess. Larry Borum and Keon Smith. That was Keon Smith, actually. Larry Borum let his guy spin off, but you got Larry Borum letting up a key sack to Landry before the interception. Now you got a key sack to end the game let up by that right side by Keon Smith. I mean, just a disaster. It's, I don't know, man. We are literally 2 games in. It already feels like this season is over. And now, I don't even know. You know, we were already worried about whether our head coach was cut out to be a head coach. Now I'm sitting here wondering if our defensive coordinator is even cut out to be a defensive coordinator. I mean, look at this. We need a new GM. We need a new head coach. We might need a new whole staff offensively and defensively. We need the roster turned over again. Do I believe in curses? I started to after we returned a 71-yard. We had a 71-yard punt return only to give up a kickoff touchdown. Aaron Brewer probably had one of his worst games as a Dolphin today, taking some costly penalties. It's just, there's changes that need to be happen all over. I mean, I chose them to lose this game. I thought it'd be uglier. What makes it even worse is, you know, that it wasn't ugly. It was ugly in a sense of how it ended. But, I mean, we put up 27 points. But it was ugly in the beginning, getting down 12-0. Imagine if you didn't get down 12-0. Tua doesn't throw that interception. Instead, takes the Tanner Connor check down. You're only down by 3. You're not down by 6, and you're driving. Daryl, I think Tua is going to be gone. So I think Tua is going to be gone at this rate. But I think McDaniel is going to be gone after the Buffalo game. And I agree. The Patriots did everything in their power to try and give us that game at the end. And we just couldn't take advantage. This is it. You look at how last season ended and how this season started. I don't know how Ross is keeping these people together. I don't get it. And really, you need this change to happen sooner than later. I'm not trying to watch this debacle for another 15 games. I'll have no hair left. And everything that I do have will be gray. I'll look like Santa Claus by the end of the season. When it rains, it pours. That one hurt today. That one hurt today. Over 600 of you in the chat. Do me the favor. Smash the like button. Subscribe if you are new. I mean, what more is there to say? We saw what happened. Fire them all into the Hard Rock Sun for all I care. Heads should be rolling tonight, but we all know they won't. And the simple reason why they won't is because we're on a short week. But rip the Band-Aid off. I said this before last week. Don't wait like you did with Flores until the end of the season to make the move. Make it. Guys, smash that like button. Subscribe if you are new. I'm going to get out of here and go, rock back and forth in a corner and wallow in my sorrows. Try to keep your chin up. It's tough being a Dolphin fan, but at least we got each other. All right? Fins up all day, every day. I'll see y'all in the next one.